Rashid al-Lubnani would convey, how he, lashed out at her and told her that, I have a family to take care of, and, you have to realize that, you were told before, to return to America with the younger one, and you stayed instead of going. So this is part of what is happening. Anyway, I have things to go, but I have things to do, but maybe you should go to the American embassy and seek help, basically telling her that. On another occasion, I remember, my mother really did take a lot of hits. Ibader Cham, yes, the allegiance or the alliance was built, but just as we were discussing, myself and Falak Abdul Fattah, is that she was still vulnerable. She became humiliated in front of the man's house before we even took him up on his chance or his offerings of going to Luga. But I remember with AKF, she went to explain to him, and he really was showing a face of like, I'm not hearing, I'm not feeling any of this you're talking about, and really gave her a stone face. I don't remember much more other than as she was talking, he interrupted her, and then she realized, oh, it's time to go. And as she is walking out, he says, he calls my name and he says, here, take this money for transportation. And then she tells me not to. And then he says, well, okay, then I'll get out of here. So I needed to get that one off. Again, she did go through, the tough moments there. Now, when the time came about of going to Luga, well, before getting to Luga, the university students were very helpful at that time. There are a number of people we want to make sure that we mention. There was Mam Bayan Nyang, who was a very close friend of my mother. Aisha Jau was there. Aisha Fal, also another very close friend of my mother. These people are doctors now, working in the institution of health or what have you. Usman Jallo was there. Mahmoud Njai also was there. Imam Kante, and Ustaz Abdullah Pam. This is really when Ustaz Abdullah Pam was working on his license, or what they know as licence, at the university. So we met him there. He did not have the tahfiz, the madras of Umar ibn al-Khattab at that time. He did not have it at that time. But these were all whom were met there. She did, and I remember her getting consultation from Ustaz Abdullah Pam, who had just graduated recently. He had graduated from the University of Sharia in Medina, from the College of Kulliyat Sharia in the Jamiat al-Islamiyya in Medina. This is where he had. And so she got consultation from him about, mainly I remember her situation with my dad being brought up, my biological father being brought up during that time. But let's kind of just stick to, again, the fact that she had built, and that relationship with these students. Imam Suleiman Young was there, very, very, interesting at times. I remember one time they all, made a nice gesture and came and visited us in that one room. And Imam Suleiman Young, rahimahullah, he recited a portion of Surah Al-Baqarah, because he was asking. I'll never forget, with Qala Ibrahim, the story of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, facing the king, and the king trying to intimidate him by killing one and letting another one live. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam said that Allah Ta'ala bring the sun from the east, you bring it from the west, which defeated in conversation, obviously, the one who thought that they had what only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. So this is all in transition. There was also another Cherno. There was an actual Cherno who, taught, and this is where Tabarak alladhi biyadihi al-mulk would be studied at the university. So we were three, the three of us were there. And at some point, there was another individual, because my mother was making alliances even at the Pan-African movement delegation. She somehow, in some way, got into these groups, and there was one Mr. Babu and another individual that used to really help her out, with a good chunk of money, because she obviously appealed to them, but showed that she had value. She was very good with writing. She was quite, an amazing strategist. At the University of Shanta Diop, humanitarian that was. She really liked being in humanitarian civil consulting. There were two boys from Nigeria, which she ran into. They were in Dakar looking for their mother, Abdurrahman and Ahmed, and she managed to get some other students, one from Zaid, one Sanga, to help her in trying to track the mother, and even helping them to get provisions and maybe getting back to Nigeria, because somehow they had lost track of their mother in Mali on their way. So very, very interesting themes that were going on all at once. However, there was a time as we got closer and closer to the departure to Louga, we would still be involved with Linyasian, Baba Lamine. I remember visiting him on numerous occasions. Sayyidah Mariama Nyas also, rahmatullahi alayha. We spent some time in her camp in Dakar, somewhere it was. So we were really getting around. Alhaji Mansour Sall of Sitting Mansour Sall, we were put in touch with him through Ibadet Cham. So they were really just, a lot of these going on. And at some point, as we got closer and closer to going to Louga, we would go to Fast today to fetch our younger brother Isa, and as we were gathering him and taking him back, he recited Surah Al-A'la, Sabbih Isma Rabbika Al-A'la. I'll never forget. And as he had actually become, over a period of 6 months, and only 6 months, he had managed to get quite far. But my mother wanted for all of us to be together. There was supposedly an opportunity, because again, it was a scholarship at the Al-Hanafiya. Al-Hanafiya back then was brand new. We were given a tour of the school, and the tour of until today, the building still stands. It still looks decent, but back then, I'm talking about fresh new. There were no students walking around at that time, because it was during the break. But it goes from grade 1 all the way through university. The school goes from grade 1 all the way through university. That's class-wise. And it's it's really a nice structured building. I would like to compare it easily to any number of high school structures. It easily outdoes the community colleges. It easily outdoes them. Just the fencing and the decent architectural design that they have, embodying or depicting harmonious surrounding, and the fence that it has, and then the trees that it has, and instead of it being dust and dirt and sand like any other school, you actually have concrete passages walking nicely through. You have different sectors, so it 2 stories here, 3 stories there, conference room there. It's really a nice structure. So we're excited about going to this place. We really are. But obviously, we're just there to visit for the moment, and then we're shown where we are supposedly to be quartered, because this place is supposed to have, or these are actually dorms, student dorms within Al-Hanafiya. So we're shown all of this, and we're thinking like, man, this is supposed to be really great, the 3 of us. And then we we look forward to going to Luga. We really do look forward to going to it. You know, we are told you guys, you know, you got scholarships, and that means, you know, every month you'll be getting X amount of pocket money. I mean, we were told quite a few things, or at least we thought we were told quite a few things. Now, all of that really does, you know, summarize between Dakar, Isaias, Bao, kilomètre 18 of Rufisque, and our time going to Luga, which is again closer to the Mauritanian border. It's about two hours maybe from the Mauritanian border, sub-Sahara. The weather there, we will, you know, describe it a little bit more. I'm trying to make sure that, you know, we really do not have to go back and visit, you know, certain eras. This particular era, I think that as much as can be elaborated on for the moment, we are fairly deep into it, again, just to make sure that the Quranic journey would be cited there, how much I had actually obtained under those circumstances because of that, and what were the conditions of our environment in developing ourselves, because by now, I mean, we really are on our own. We are under the direct supervision of our mother. She is benefiting us in terms of speaking to us in English and encouraging us to speak English and reminding us about why we really are in Africa. And, you know, she's giving us that love, tender and compassion as a mother would. But she's not able to protect us financially or economically very well. In fact, with that one big room, they had been several delinquent payments, and, you know, we were being evicted, point blank. She was told, look, just forget about whatever you owe me. This is the landlord. Just forget about whatever you owed me, and just vacate my place. Just give me my place back. You can keep whatever you owe me, 6 months, whatever you owe me, 5 months, whatever it is. Keep it, and then let me just have my place back. Of course, once we came back one day and we just found the whole, you know, like the place like locked down. He attempted to lock us out of our own house. Luckily for us, there happened to be one gentleman that we shared the lower floor with, because his room was all the way in the back. He also was locked out. The landlord didn't realize that when he put a chain on the door that he was locking him out, or whoever he sent was supposed to give that guy a key so he wouldn't be locked out. So when that guy came back, he just took one of those he broke the chain, and that broke it for all of us. But since we were on our way to Luga, it was just a matter of, you know, us boys getting there. My mother had arrangements made where, you know, mattresses, I suppose she gave away, other things which were like her books and her documents. She packaged them up and she moved into the dorms with some of the university students, the female dorm. And I remember us, you know, flighting or walking back and forth between the men's dorm and the women's dorm, because we boys, right before we left for Luga, would be at the university with Mamadou Ndiaye, which later on he, you know, opened up his family house to us in Pekin. So we would manage to be in Pekin at times, and it was interesting. It was a very interesting moment. Maybe I'll do one more video of this transitional moment between Dakar and Luga, simply because we're mentioning Pekin. And it shows, again, just in this 1 year, 1.5 years, we're just moving around so hectically, so crazily. We want to come back. My mother says, no, you haven't completed, and there's nothing there for you. Realize what's, you know, why you're here, and so on. So it, you know, we're in between. We're practically professional beggars, if one may. But it was what she, you know, she signed up for. You know, she had signed up for us to be in Africa and live off of whatever was in Africa, and this is what it was at that time. So we lived off of it. This had to happen back in 87, I would say, 87, going into 88. And I think we will stop this narrative at the time at this point, and ask that whatever was correct, Allah accept it from us and give us a reward of that, and have mercy in it for us in this life and the hereafter, and forgiveness as well. And whatever we made mistake of it, and we were wrong, may He forgive us for that, and help us correct ourselves and hold ourselves accountable before the day of judgment. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and peace be among all of those and upon all of those who are seekers of truth. Wassalam.